Welcome to our Yom Hashoah ceremony. This year is very different from the physical, live ceremonies that the SAJBD have organized and you have all participated in for decades in each of our communities across South Africa. In these stressful and uncertain times, the unique and wonderful feature about today has been the way that we have come together, one united Jewish community from across South Africa, to prepare this ceremony. Today, we remember the 6 million Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust, and of course we honor our beloved survivors. We will begin our ceremony with the beautiful unifying voices of women from Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban and Pretoria. And this will be followed by the reading of the names. This part of the ceremony is particularly poignant because as we talk about 6 million, we remember that unto each one there is a name.
Herzlich zu wir singen, wie es klappen unsere Herzen, mit Rhythm von euer Leben, herzlich zu. Wir seien euer Kinder, wir singen euer Lieder, zu liebreich, wir seien da, we are here because of you. We'll tell your story, live your dreams, and sing your song with courage, faith and hope, with voices proud and strong. The world will know your life, your love, your legacy lives on. Herzlich zu, we will remember you. You're with us everywhere we go. We hold you safely in our hearts. We'll share with future generations all the lessons of your past, all your suffering and losses, all the pain that you went through will never be forgotten. Herzlich zu. We'll tell your story, live your dreams, and sing your song with courage, faith and hope, with voices proud and strong. The world will know your life, your love, your legacy lives on. Herzlich zu, we will remember you. We have cried in all our tears the sadness of your darkest years, but the joy in your survival gives us life. Wir wollen euch keinmal nicht vergessen, wir wollen euch ständig gedenken. Euch ewig will wir singen zu lieb euch. We'll tell your story, live your dreams, and sing your song with courage, faith and hope, with voices proud and strong. The world will know your life, your love, your legacy lives on. Herzlich zu, we will remember you. Herzlich zu, we will remember you.
Schick brannte Feuern und in Stoges Haus und der Rebellen
On the 11th of September 1927, Sylvia and Serena Salome were blessed with a beautiful baby girl who they named Stella. The history of the Salome family in Sarajevo could be traced back to the 17th century. Sarajevo is the industrial, commercial and cultural hub of Yugoslavia. Sylvia was an industrialist who owned textile factories and served in the Austrian army under the Habsburg Empire as an officer in the First World War. Serena was a housewife who was actively involved in Jewish organizations and charities. The Salome family regularly attended Shabbat services and of course celebrated Or Chagim. Stella and her sister Ricky, who was born in 1932, attended Osnova Knobali, which was a girls' primary school attended by all denominations. In 1941, Stella had just started at high school Zenska Gymnasia, when life as she knew would change forever. On the 15th of April 1941, the Nazis entered Sarajevo, and the first thing they did was ransack and destroy the Sephardi synagogue, which at the time was considered the largest and most ornate synagogue in the Balkan states. On the 27th of April 1941, the citizens of Yugoslavia woke up to posters on the streets informing them of all the rules and regulations pertaining to Jews. On the 24th of May 1941, Stella, Ricky, and all the Jews of Yugoslavia had to wear the infamous yellow star. In June 1941, all Jews holding civil servant positions were retrenched. On the 3rd of September 1941, the mass deportation of Jews to the following 4 camps began: Korčula, Đakovo, Jasenovac, and Llobregat. In total, 9,000 Jews from Sarajevo were either murdered in these camps or sent to other camps where they faced extermination. Only 120 Jews remained in Sarajevo. Silvio was amongst the first deportations and he was sent to Jasenovac. Silvio was murdered in March 1942, aged 53. On the 16th of December 1941, Serena, Stella, Ricky, as well as other members of the Salome family were deported to Đakovo concentration camp. Đakovo was a camp that was open to house 300 Jewish women and children. A large number were executed and it was closed in 1942, with the remaining inmates being deported to Jasenovac. In May 1942, Serena, using the gold that she had sewn into the lining of her coat, managed to bribe a guard to turn his back, while Stella, aged 15, Ricky, aged 10, and her cousin Igor, aged 16, were allowed to crawl under the fence of the camp. The last thing Serena said to her girls was, "Don't turn back, I'll see you tomorrow." Whether she intended to see them or just told them that is something we'll never know. Up until today, it is unknown whether Serena was killed in Jasenovac or deported to Auschwitz. She died, aged 36. The kids were instructed to go to the town of Osijek because their uncle Jaco, who lived in Split under Italian rule, had sent them each false Italian ID documents. On the 13th of May 1942, Igor, Stella and Ricky travelled through Zagreb to the town of Split. On the way, they had to pass through the town of Karlovic, where there was passport and ID inspection by the Croatian Ostrich regime. Many Jews had been caught and sent straight to extermination camps. On arrival in Karlovic, Stella and Ricky were terrified due to the shoutings and beatings surrounding them. Igor told them to pretend to be asleep and he took their ID cards and faced the guards himself. Thanks to his fluent Italian, he convinced the guards that they were all Italian and all 3 were allowed to carry on. On arrival in Split, the kids were met by their uncle, with whom they'd stay until the whole family left for Bari, Italy, after the 9th of September 1943, when Italy changed alliances and joined the USA-Britain alliance in fighting Germany. Igor left to join the partisans and Stella and Ricky continued with school. Stella graduated high school and went on to study nursing. In 1947, she met Israel Harris in Rome, who was one of the first cadets of the Israeli Air Force in Italy. In 1949, she boarded the Grimaldi, a refugee boat bound in Haifa. On arrival at the refugee camp Zurifin, Stella found her mom's sister Donka, who she didn't realize had survived the war. Stella and Israel were married in Jerusalem in 1950. They went on to have 2 children, Serena and Eliakim. Today, I've had the honor and privilege to tell you my grandmother's story. There are many heroes in the story. My great-grandmother, who had the strength to let her kids go. But then there's my gran's cousin Eagle, who at the age of 16 faced the guards and got them through the border post. My gran, aged 15, and her sister, aged 10, had to walk away from their mother. These youths can all be an inspiration to kids today. So what do you think we can do? We can honor them by telling their stories. As we lose the last of the survivors, all that will remain will be their stories. And it is up to us as the youth to tell these stories and keep them alive for generations to come.
Elena Iraman from USSR, age 47, Babi Yar, 1942. Matilda Arsner from Austria, age 50, Minsk, Belarusia, 1942.
Abram Flat from Lithuania, age 46, Utena, Lithuania, 1941. Hans Amund from Austria, age 10, Auschwitz, 1944.
Lena Blech from USSR, age 6, Odessa, Ukraine, 1942. Jacob Dayan from Lithuania, age 30, Petrashon, Lithuania, 1941.
Jacqueline Blinbaum from France, age 6, Auschwitz, 1942. Emmanuel Bloch from Poland, age 3, Treblinka, 1942.
Dora Frankel from Romania, age 63, Soroka, Romania, 1942. Joseph Alchenich from Germany, age 53, Minsk, Bulgaria, 1942.
Estella Kate from Netherlands, age 46, Auschwitz, 1943. Paulina Frankel from Romania, age 37, Soroka, Romania, 1942.
Gilia Rubanovic, USSR, age 28, Kursk, USSR, 1943. Beryl Flat, Lithuania, age 21, Utena, Lithuania, 1941.
Hendel Gottlieb from Poland, age 30, Rohatain, Poland, 1942. Jendel Feldman, USSR, age 65, Minsk, USSR, 1941.
Marguerite Alexander from Netherlands, age 49, Auschwitz, 1944. Talik Finkel from Romania, age 70, Ukraine, USSR, 1941. Laszlo Schlesinger from Hungary, age 30, Budapest, Hungary, 1944.
Fega Schechter, Poland, age 53, Poland, 1942.
Friends, colleagues, fellow community members, on behalf of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, I welcome you today to this solemn day of remembrance. Today's Yom Hashoah commemorative ceremony is completely unique. Nowhere in our country, whether in Johannesburg or Cape Town, Durban or Pretoria, Bloemfontein, Port Elizabeth, East London, or anywhere else, do we find the traditional coming together of community members when it is time to remember our murdered millions and countless other victims of Nazi tyranny. And yet, wherever we may all be, modern technology has ensured that while we are physically separated from one another, we can at least listen and see together, and that this year's ceremony, in which all regions are contributing, can be the most nationally inclusive ceremony that our community has ever held. The date, 27 January this year, marked the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, the most infamous of the Nazi death camps. Accordingly, Jewish leaders from around the world, including South Africa, were amongst those who attended the commemorative events held at the Auschwitz Memorial in Poland. Historical milestones are traditionally used as an opportunity for looking both back and forward. In reflecting on the 3/4 of a century that have passed since the genocide of European Jewry, we are ever more aware that those of our people who experienced and can bear direct testimony to those hellish times are today but a handful, and that soon even they will no longer be among us. For this reason, there has been a particular focus this year on honoring our South African survivors, and over the 24 hours of Yom Hashoah, we have been sharing online tributes to many of them. One important aspect of Yom Hashoah that we have unfortunately had to forgo this year is the traditional lighting of the 6 memorial candles by survivors. As this is not possible, we will instead be sharing some special footage of South African survivors lighting the memorial lamp at the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center 75th anniversary event, which was held on 27 January this year.
So our Brink is lighting the first candle in honor of all the righteous amongst the nations, recognized by Yad Vashem. To light the second candle, I would like to invite Don Kraus, born in the Netherlands, survived Westerbork, Ravensbrück, Sachsenhausen concentration camps, and the Death March. Don Kraus is the chairman of She'erit HaPleta, the organization representing all survivors in South Africa. To light the third candle, I would like to invite Veronica Phillips. Veronica Phillips was born in Hungary, survived the ghetto in Budapest, was deported to Ravensbrück, Penig, and Johann Georgenstadt concentration camps, and also took place in the Death March. Veronica represents tonight all concentration camps survivors. I would like to invite now Irene Feynman. Irene Feynman was born in the Netherlands. She survived Westerbork and Ravensbrück concentration camps and was taken by the White Buses rescue mission to Sweden. Irene was 8 years old at the time, and she represents here all child survivors. To light the fifth candle, I would like to call on Lionel Fleece, Leah Sterner, and Adi Wanda. Lionel Fleece, Leah Sterner, and Adi Wanda were all born in Romania. Lionel survived the Iași pogrom, one of the biggest massacres of the Second World War. Leah and Adi survived persecution in Romania as children. To light the last candle, I will invite Irene Klaas, and also it will be hard for Doris Lurie to come up, but I want to mention Doris Lurie here as well to light the sixth candle. So if Doris can just come next to the stage. Irene Klaas was born in Poland, survived the Warsaw Ghetto, and later lived under a Christian identity until liberation, and was saved by many good people in Poland. Doris Lurie was born in Austria. She escaped to France, then to England, and somehow found her way to South Africa, where she survived the war. Her father was kept in concentration camps in France.
The Jews of Europe, who were targeted for annihilation by the Nazis, came from different countries with varying traditions and different languages. From the east, the Jewish community spoke mostly Yiddish and were Ashkenazi. And those from the Balkans and the Middle East were mostly Sephardi, and of them, many of them spoke Judeo-Spanish or Ladino as we know it. Ladino was once the trade language of the Adriatic Sea, the Balkans and the Middle East, and known for a rich literature. Isaac Habib was born to parents from Rhodes Island, and his mother was one of the 150 survivors of the 1,673 Jews from Rhode Island who were deported in the July of 1944. We will hear Isaac recite a poem that he wrote and recited in Ladino at the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of that deportation last year.
Los rodicis de la judería. Más de 2,000 ahí entraron, poco más de 100 de ahí salieron. Los que de este infierno se salvaron, poco o mucho a sus hijos contaron. Unos sin reposo de los campos hablaban, mientras otros mudos quedaban. De ellos hoy pocos en vida quedan. La mayoría en países lejanos ahora reposa, con su tormento encerrado en tierra ajena. Unos a Dios regaciaron por su salvación, otros a Dios odiaron por su interna destrucción. Fueron los testigos de la Shoah que en los libros de historia su calamidad apenas se menciona. Madre, por ti repetir tu historia es mi deber, sin que yo todo lo pueda dar a entender. En el pecho me pincha el dolor al contar con palabras sin color tus 9 meses de maldicha vida en que pedrites el poder llorar, hasta mismo el poder amar. Seres humanos, ya más no eras. Tus palabras están en mí como un rash. En estos mundos adelante, que con tus compañeras de la Shoah conozcas serenidad eterna en tu lugar de reposo, madre querida.
This year, on the 27th of January, we commemorated the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the notorious Nazi concentration camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. As part of the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center's moving ceremony, Ambassador Lior Kainan, on behalf of Yad Vashem and the State of Israel, awarded the Righteous Among the Nations Medal and Certificate of Honor to the family of Rinske van den Brink. One of Yad Vashem's principal duties is to convey the gratitude of the State of Israel and the Jewish people to Righteous Among the Nations who took great risks to save Jews during the Holocaust. Here is that ceremony.
Family of the Righteous Among Nations, welcome, and dear friends. We have come together tonight in this significant place, the Holocaust Museum in Johannesburg, to salute bravery, to pay tribute to wonderful spirit of humanity. We salute the human spirit of the Holocaust survivors, the brave people that survived what their 6 million brothers, sisters, parents and children did not. What might and optimism you have, dear survivors, to have seen what you saw, experienced such horrors, but overcome the past to establish a new and optimistic future for yourself and for us. Just last week we lost a fellow Holocaust survivor, Mordechai Perlo. He was a true embodiment of this human spirit and optimism. After experiencing such horror at the young age of 14, and despite not being able to get a formal education, he came to South Africa and became a successful businessman. He raised a beautiful family and became an inspiration to those who knew him. May he rest in peace. Tonight we also salute the brave soldiers of the Allied countries who paid the ultimate sacrifice to stop, 75 years ago, the Nazi machine of destruction. Allow me to personally thank the American Ambassador Lana Marks, the Russian Deputy Head of Mission Mr. Vladimir Yakovlev, the South African government representative, and the representative of the Allied countries for joining us here today. But this evening, we do not only salute the bravery of countries and armies, we also honor the bravery of individuals, the people who made a choice to listen to their conscience and save Jews during the Second World War. They did so while putting themselves and their families at great risk, as their fate was obvious if they were found to be protecting Jews from the inferno. The State of Israel does not hand out medals. The only medals we hand out is for these special individuals that were acknowledged by Yad Vashem Museum in Israel and given the title of Righteous Among the Nations. To date, Israel has recognized over 26,000 righteous among the nations. They have come from 50 different countries, citizens from around the world, not only Europe, from the famous Oskar Schindler to the lesser-known heroes, from farmers and workers to diplomats who operated against their government orders. We do so in order to emphasize that the acts of these people have done are the most honorable and brave. They put into action the Jewish saying, Kol hametzil nefesh achat keilo itzil olam u'meloo. He who saved one life, it is as if he has saved the entire world. Today we have a unique opportunity to honor such an individual. We will be presenting this prestigious award to the descendants and family members of Rinske van den Brink. She and her husband Art saved a young Jewish boy, Abraham Stahl, at great risk to their and their children's life. I wish I could stop here after these stories of bravery, of countries and individuals that defeated and survived the Nazi regime. But the picture is sadly more complicated than that. Exactly today, 75 years ago, the soldiers of the Red Army entered a Nazi camp in Poland. The world recognized this place as the concentration camp Auschwitz-Birkenau, but this was not a camp. It was hell itself, where 1.1 million Jews were executed and sent to the gas chambers. The sight revealed to the soldiers that reached Auschwitz and the other awful places all through Europe shook and horrified the world. The thought that humans, flesh and blood, are able to commit these atrocities towards men was incomprehensible then and are incomprehensible now. One would assume that the world has learned its lesson. Yet, only 75 years after the Holocaust, we are starting to see how anti-Semitism and hatred of Jews are back, center stage, as if we have learned nothing from history, as if humanity has not already sacrificed so much life in order for us to improve as a society. Is 75 years the memory life cycle after the humanity erases its memory and begins anew? The years 2018 and 2019 brought a new record of anti-Semitic incidents around the world. In these years alone, anti-Semitic deadly attacks followed Jews in the United States and Germany while they were praying in synagogue, shopping at kosher supermarkets, attacks that killed more than 20 people. In other words, more than 150 countries around the world do not reckon that there is any need to learn more about what happened in the darkest period of modern human history, nor from the definition of anti-Semitism and how to fight it. Until this happens, it is museums and institutions like this center that have taken upon themselves the job of countries and governments. They promote recognition of the Holocaust by the public with special emphasis on youth, the next generation. They are leading almost desperate attempt to try to prevent history repeating itself. Just as Israel promoted the United Nations decision for this day of commemoration and the establishment of the IHRA, so it will continue to lead the efforts to keep the remembrance of the Holocaust and the fight against anti-Semitism high on the global agenda. It was only a few days ago that Israel hosted 45 world leaders that declared that the international community is not doing enough in these fields. It was a clear call from Jerusalem that anti-Zionism and denying Israel rights to exist are a form of anti-Semitism which must be uprooted. I hope these proclamations will not disappear with the wind. They must turn into action so we can ensure never again. Thank you.
It is my honor now to call to the stage Ambassador Lior Kenan and Chief Director for the Middle East, Ambassador Zanetta Makina, to present the award of Righteous Among the Nations to family members of Rinske Vandenbrink, her daughter Fokje Stein, and grandchildren, Rinske, Kiki for short, Van Rooyen, who has a birthday today, and Art Vandenbrink, who will say a few words on behalf of the family. Please come to the stage to accept your award.
For many of our beloved survivors, Yom Hashoah represents the Yotzad for so many of their family who have no grave or date of death. Here are poignant testimonies of some of our South African survivors.
I remember quite clearly, I said to myself, well, now we're going to be guests. Because, all the other people were going to Treblinka. We knew about Treblinka, we knew about the death camps, we knew about the gas chambers. I mean, it wasn't a secret. Some people wouldn't believe it, but you knew it. Even if you didn't want to believe it, you knew that it was happening.
When the train stopped, we were in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Well, there was an orchestra playing, made up of prisoners. In front of them, the commandants of the camps were standing, watching us coming into the camp. And we were ordered to go through a selection. There were Germans standing, we women. And one of them in front was pointing with a stick in his hand, right to life, left to death. Women with mothers with children were sent away, and older women. Then the men were sent away. And my father just looked back at me when he was ordered to move with the others, and he was hit over the head, bent down, and this is how I saw him. And that's how I saw him the last time. I've never seen my father again.
When we got to Majdanek, they divided the men from the women and the children from the adults. So they took my sister, and I kind of was left with the grown-ups. And my mother was screaming, and she ran towards my sister. And my sister grabbed her, and they were kind of holding each other. I remember somebody lifting her and kind of pushing my mother into that. And they started walking, and within 5 minutes they disappeared. I remember my mother's and my father's face very clearly. I can't remember my sister's face. And I remember the last few minutes of her life in Majdanek. But again, I can't see her face. I can only see her running, and I can see her hair, and I can see her grasping my mother. But I can't see her face.
Going out to work outside the camp one morning, we saw trucks lined up on the railway line. We saw little faces peeping out. And we felt completely helpless. We knew what will happen in a few minutes' time when the camp will empty, when we will be all away, then they would be chased out to the gas chambers. And we just wondered why the world was keeping quiet. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't even save ourselves. And we were helpless.
We arrived in Ravensbrück at night, and as I said, they opened the wagons and they started shouting, "Hinaus, hinaus," with the dogs and, you know, these SS women, and schnell, schnell. We couldn't see, it was dark.
They gave us shoes from the people what got killed in Auschwitz, second-hand shoes. And in Blecheme, they gave me the number on my hand. The number was 184738, and that was my name actually.
My number was 48,632 with a blue triangle underneath the number. This was the sign of a Jew. And from then on, I was no more Ella Frank. I was prisoner, Häftling number 48,632, and that is how I was reporting myself.
They used to wake us up early in the morning, like 6 o'clock. They used to count us, and they called out not the name, they called out the number, and I had to say, yes, jawohl, I'm here, to count if somebody's not missing. But if somebody was missing, then they could take out a few people and to shot them straight away.
We settled in the barracks, and our daily occupation was running with stones, backwards and forwards. Backwards and forwards. In the morning, we'd line up, and the couples would divide us, and then you started running with stones, and you piled up the stones, and when the pile was too big, then you took the same stones and ran backwards with the stones, and then you ran that way.
The SS were very cruel. They were screaming and shouting and beating the inmates all the time. And we didn't know what we were supposed to do because they were screaming so much. There were mountains of shoes and glasses, and we were told that this is from the lodge, that big transport that came from the lodge ghetto. And we were supposed to sort these things out, but how can you sort out millions of shoes that were loose? They're not even tied together. And we realized where these shoes came from. So it was a doubly awful job to do.
When I got my one slice of bread, I had a big problem. Do I eat that whole big meal now? Or do I keep a piece for myself until the afternoon when I know I'm going to be bloody hungry? And I remember my decision to eat the whole thing was based on the fact that I was a child. And everybody else was also hungry. And if an adult came to me and tried to take it off me, I could not prevent him from doing it. unless I'd eaten it.
Still in Majdanek, we saw a girl being hanged, and the commandant of the camp said, "This is going to happen to every one of you who try to escape."
Sometimes you stood for hours and hours and hours in the freezing cold, and if somebody collapsed, they put the dogs on them. And my mother was very conscious that, you know, I was very small, so what she did was, I think of it now, she put her hand over both my eyes so I couldn't see all these horrible things. She put her thumb in my ears so I wouldn't hear.
The partisan song is a Yiddish song and is considered one of the chief anthems of the Holocaust survivors. It is sung in memorial services around the world. During the recording of the partisan song in our ceremony this morning, you will see beautiful photographs of the many Yom Hashoah services that have been hosted in your cities over the past few years.
Sag nicht keinmal, als du gehst im letzten Weg, wenn Himmeln bleien, verstehen Leute. Kommen wird doch unser Eisgewähnte schon, es wird erbeugten unser Trott, wir seinen da. Kommen wird doch unser Eisgewähnte schon, es wird erbeugten unser Trott, wir seinen da. Riemen, Palmenland bis Land von weißen Schnee. Wir kommen an mit unser Bein, mit unser Weg. Und wo gefallen ist, spritzt von unser Blut. Sprotzt den weg dort unser Chore, unser Mund. Und wo gefallen ist, spritzt von unser Blut. Sprotzt den weg dort unser Chore, unser Mund. Die Morgensonne gilden uns dem Heim und der Nächte wird verschwinden mitten frei. Nur heute versammeln wird die Sonne in dem Kajor. Wie a Parol so geht das Lied von dort zu dort. Nur heute versammeln wird die Sonne in dem Kajor. Wie a Parol so geht das Lied von dort zu dort. Ist was liegt mit Not und nicht mit Leid.
possible in this virtual situation to recite Kaddish together. We encourage you to reflect and pray in your own homes as we listen to the very moving rendition of Shalom Katz singing the memorial song Al Maleh Rachamim. Our ceremony will close with the voices of South African Jewish youth, young men and women who have come together in unity and hope to create a magnificent choral rendition of Ani Ma'amin, I Believe. Thank you so much for joining us at this important and meaningful commemoration.